How's it going? I'm Marcus.
I'm Rami.
And this is the podcast where we try and figure out what this podcast is about.
And what Marcus's accent actually is. And what we're doing with our lives. Also.
And in this episode, we talk about Wall Street bets and stock splits.
And Apple. There's a lot of Apple chat. Not that we're
You did
fanboy.
pull in a lot of Apple in this episode.
Man, we talked a lot about Apple. Good Apple chat, though. Corporation X, as they'll hence be known.
From this day forward.
Oh, no. I'm going to get the Apple fanboys against me. I'm going to get the mob.
You're not an Apple fanboy, which is interesting.
I'm
but
not an Apple fanboy. I'm just not an Apple fanboy.
That's right.
They're two different things in my mind. I don't hate on Apple. I'm not doing 12 iPad YouTubes a week.
Best of luck to Patrick Rambles. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. How's it going, lad?
Really well. I've just been engrossed in this video.
Yeah, what is it? I saw you sent me something.
It's from 2019. Some guy who became known as the Sky King. Basically a dude, slight nutter, ground crew.
The guy who he stole the airplane and crashed it into the island.
Stole the plane, did a barrel roll.
Did loop-de-loops. I saw
then crashed it into the island, yes.
Yeah. You missed that one the first time around. This is doing your...
I feel like
I
completely miss... I don't know, there's a whole tribute to him. I feel like I completely missed it the first time around, and the videos now have, they have all the audio and what he said. And he's just doing loops around Rainier.
He's like, I'm just gonna... And they're like trying to talk to him, and they're like, okay, you had fun, good job. And he's like, do you want to come back down now? And he's like... No, I think this is going one way. I remember the audio on the intercom, right?
Pretty much. He's like, no, I'm not going to land.
He's like, I really wasn't expecting to be able to take this thing off. Is it? You remember? Like, I don't know if you've listened to the audio.
Exactly. Yeah, so the whole thing. Exactly right. Exactly. It's like, was like, do you know how to play? He's like, yeah, I played some video games. Yeah,
I did Flight Simulator.
Literally, he's like, I played video games.
And he's like, I really wasn't expecting to be able to roll this thing. Like, he's like, anyway, yeah.
Like, do you reckon this could do a barrel roll?
He crashed it on purpose in the end, right? He flew into an island. Yeah,
very much. It's like this fuel is running down very quick, but very much nose down. He's like, I reckon I'll do a barrel roll and then put the nose down and call it a night. It's like really chilling, super cool. And look, if it had been anyone else and with another accent and with a different attitude, he would have been shot down by the two F-15s following him. But
he was over houses. The reason he wasn't shot down was he was over residential areas, so they couldn't shoot him down.
Well, he was over the Puget Sound for most of it, right? He was over water and Olympics, and
it was right on the coast, from what I gather. I don't know where it was, but wasn't it in Canada?
No, Seattle.
Seattle.
He flew out of Seattle.
He was up north. That's right.
That's right. He went around Mount Rainier, and then he goes across the Olympics, like literally just hangs out. Yeah, it's good scenery.
I wonder how that ended up in your feed today. I wonder what series of things you clicked for them to YouTube.
No. It was a Twitter thread. Someone goes, just remembering casually 2019 where this dude stole a plane and did barrel rolls. And then everyone was just like posting back that he's a video and he's a thing and he's a tribute and he's the shirt. Fly it like you stole it. I don't know. It was amazing, and it got me thinking. If you want to fly, don't you? Do you want to fly?
No.
You don't want to fly?
No, it's the only one I like. I like all those risk-taking things. I like, except flying.
It's not even about risk-taking. It's just the experience of flying, isn't it? And
you've got flying lessons, don't you? Carol's bought you some, hasn't she?
Yeah, I've done flying. I've done a few tiffs and a few lessons.
You've done them?
You've
done lessons?
Yeah. I love the flying thing. In fairness, actually flying, maybe it's the type of plane, it's not quite the same feeling as you imagine it would be. It's a lot more mechanical and a lot more kind of stable in some sense and a lot less stable in other senses. Like it's very bumpy and it feels like you're in a balloon in some senses, right? It's a lot less accurate. Yeah, the front of the plane,
because you're in small planes, you're in Cessnas and stuff.
Probably
in
a beach in a Cessna, but just of all of the things I always wanted to fly. Fly is just the freedom and the space and the distance and the views.
I get it. Lots of people, I don't know. I just feel like it's too. Definitely not helicopters anyway, right?
Are we talking risk? Is this a risk? Oh man, you.
I mean, that's the reason. I mean, the risk.
The motorbikes are fine, but they're safe.
Motorbikes are not fine, but you're not going to fall out of the air, are you? You're not going to fall hundreds of feet.
Are we going to do the stats on motorbike injuries and/or deaths versus flying?
We could. I mean, I'm talking about. I think there's domestic flying, but like. Non-commercial flying, people flying their jets are much more likely to be in accidents. Yeah.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'd love to see those stats. I reckon motorbikes.
I don't know. I'm saying I think that.
Yeah.
My impression is you're more likely to be in a aviation accident if you are a small plane.
Oh, compared to a large commercial, well-funded.
Yeah, like as we know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
No, but
yeah,
we
yeah.
know like an Airbus, they crash sometimes and it's terrible, but it's
a lot less
it's
likely than someone.
a lot
doing
less
a
likely
Cessna.
than someone in a Cessna. Yeah,
Totally agree. But that's not the comparison. The comparison is that versus a motorbike.
it's not though. The comparison is something I drive a motorbike myself
Yeah.
versus I fly a plane myself is the comparison.
Yeah.
And I think flying a plane myself is just risky.
Yeah. So I reckon that's less risky statistically
Yeah.
than a motorbike. Because a
Probably.
motorbike, I mean, you're in no control of what everyone else is doing around you, as you
That's
really
right.
well know.
That's right.
We're not going down that path.
No, I
what
know.
path that
It's
is.
fine.
Gets-
It's fine. I mean, I'm aware of. I know motorbikes. I'm not naive about motorbikes. Like I've crashed a few of them. I know it
There you
happens.
go. Exactly. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, just hitting the ground running. Amazing. How good would it be? I don't know. Gets me thinking. Maybe it's time. Get flying.
Would you
again.
do it? That could be your thing, right?
Love
Aren't
flying.
you? You're looking for like your thing, right? I don't want you to be.
I don't think it will be. I don't think it's a thing because
Yeah,
it's a lot of time and it becomes a very consuming thing.
it's expensive
And,
too, right?
yeah, it's a bit expensive. It's a bit expensive relative to setting up your office. No, it's cheap. But like,
no,
it's
come
a-
on.
it's-
How much
it's
is
cheap.
flying lessons
How much? Like $150, $200
for a lesson?
a pop. Yeah. Like including fuel and hire and blah blah blah. Maybe it's like a little bit more now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's expensive, isn't it? I mean,
It's
it is.
the
come
number
on.
of
I
hours
mean,
to
no,
get the license gets
Yeah.
expensive because then once you have the license, then you can do visual flying and hire the
Yeah.
plane and get the fuel and do the flights for half a day, whatever you like.
Yeah,
But it's definitely not. It's not running with sneakers around. No, it's not that. It's not. It's not cycling with a.
do you want to just get into one of my hobbies instead of inventing a new one? Do you want to just motorcycling? Do you want to go motorcycle camping or like or overlanding? You could buy a 4x4 and we go overlanding together or something.
Buy a 4x4 and just put it in the back of the Tesla.
No, a 4x4, not or a quad bike. We could do quads.
Oh,
yeah.
like an SUV.
A 4x4 is a truck. Like buy a truck. I was suggesting, but
I think.
Yeah.
I think. Pilot's license would be cheaper, wouldn't it?
then buying a truck.
Yeah.
You have way more crack though buying a truck.
Just park it out front.
I called Ford this week to try and test drive a Lightning.
And
They don't have any Lightnings on the lot, and when they do, they think the first 6 months of them are they're going to be fully. They're only doing test drives for people who've actually reserved them.
yeah, fair enough.
So he's like, it's only $150 to reserve, and it's fully refundable. But
Sure.
we're only letting people who've reserved orders drive them. I think this was fair play to them. This was Walnut Creek. Might as well shout it out for them doing the right thing. Walnut Creek Ford Motor Dealership. A lot of dealerships right now. I didn't realize this. So there's the MRSP, which is the recommended sales price from the manufacturer. And whenever you buy a car here in the US, you negotiate it less than the MRSP. MRSP is like anchoring, and you basically try and get it for much lower than that as you can. However, uniquely during the pandemic, things with Tesla and things like with this Lightning, this F-150 Lightning, they're selling them over MRSP. So the manufacturer sets the price, but the dealerships have so much demand they can set whatever they want. And I saw a screen grab of one that is on the lot somewhere in the US here. So the MRSP on them, it was the Lariat version, which is $69,000 MRSP, and it was up for $145,000. So they can sell
ridiculous.
them. They can sell them for whatever they want because there's so much demand.
What do you mean up for 140? What the dealership is selling it for 140?
Dealership is saying MRSP $69,000, but we're selling it for $145,000 now. Yeah,
No, they're not selling it. They
but,
can't do that.
But
eBay,
Walnut
maybe.
Creek is what they're finding is that people who are getting the first shipment of F-150s are just selling them immediately, flipping them for
flipping them anyway,
2x.
right? Yeah.
So, but what Walnut Creek are doing, this guy I talked to, is they're selling them at MRSP.
That is good.
And if
Fair play.
it is
Good
what
on
it is. So
someone else can make the profit.
it's kind of you're
was
burning
it
people
ju- was-
short term. It's very short term thinking, isn't it?
Was it just the
If you're not-
Teslas and the Lightnings? I feel like chip shortage. I feel like all
Even
all-
the Ford I had,
Yeah.
Ford. I bought it 2 years ago, 2016 used Ford. It's one of the certified used ones, which just means that it's been taken care of and serviced regularly. They reached out to me about 6 months after I bought it and offered to buy it back from me. I was like, okay.
same price.
I don't even. I think as in we didn't even talk. There's like your year and mileage and is in demand. We'd like to buy it back. Like, that never happens.
Definitely,
that's mad.
Definitely, friends around the corner. Just other types of SUV, Fords, other types of cars. They're definitely more expensive, more than the MSRP in general on dealerships. It's not just EVs and Teslas.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Like what? Like what cars?
Like the Q7, the Audi Q7 down here in the peninsula, and the Audi dealerships.
They're selling for more than. That's not the way it usually is, though. Here.
No, but it's because of the chip shortage, right? There are no cars in general, so people are having to go onto the lots and get whatever they can take, and people are driving down to LA to. At least it was like a few months ago. I think it may have started settling down, and also the other side of the demand side has probably reduced a little bit. But I mean, who would have called that used cars would be the safest, best investment vehicle of the last 2 years?
Inflation proof. Yeah, if you wanted to avoid inflation and keep your it liquid, you can trade it whenever you want. Buy a car.
But the Tesla from October 2020 is now worth more. Yeah, worth more if I sell it now. The car I mean, genius. That's an asset.
You should. It's not going to be like that forever. You should trade it while you can.
Yeah, and then do what? Not have it buy more expensive. You just sit on it forever. What are you going to do? Yeah, sit on the cash. Yeah. Anyway, point is asset class. Also, everything you learnt growing up incorrect.
Well, not everything. Don't trust Australians.
That's correct.
No. What
did you learn
growing up?
Yeah.
I don't know. Lots of stuff.
It sounded
like I have all these sayings that Dad like ingrained in me growing up. Like, why don't we address some of them? One of them was like, don't stop running until you've crossed the line. That was like one, like a racing analogy, which is like people slow down before the line often and lose it in the last cut. I remember I lost a race when I was like 6, and I believe it or not, I used to be very fast when I was young, and we had a class race, and I think everyone thought I would win it, and I came second. And his thing was, yeah, that's a good lesson for you. Don't stop running till you cross the line. And like, it's something he says. It's like something that he says really regularly, like don't stop running across the line, which is one, and hard work pays off, and like just those things that they're just like ingrained in you. They become
your mantras. They become your principles, your core driving forces.
They're the things that you fall back on when you're in doubt. You're like, oh, I stopped running there. That was my fault. Or if I'm going for something, I'm like, keep going. Like that thing.
Yeah, the super ingrained.
Without really addressing, are they actually the right? Is that true anymore?
You don't question them. You don't question them because you have to have some base truth somewhere that someone ingrained in you, and that's what
are
it's
your
the conscious. Your parents or your conscience. I think the like 99% perspiration is definitely one that's been ingrained.
Where did that come from?
I mean, Mum will quote it from. Obviously, I'm talking about parental ingrained.
Yeah,
but Mum will quote Einstein, but I'm not sure it was Einstein. I'm sure it was But it's success. 99% perspiration, 1% inspiration. Admittedly, that 1% inspiration is probably, it's like the engineer who gets paid $40,000, $39,900 to know exactly where to put the X.
Yeah,
it's like
I don't know what you're talking about.
The kind of, Anyway, the 1% inspiration is not to be underestimated, but yes, the principle is meant to be 99% perspiration, no matter what it is. Anything work hard based. I do wonder though whether that's I don't wonder. I think it's true. But there is some element of middle classness about the just keep going. Keep going,
keep building. If you're not making ground, you're losing ground, all of that stuff.
It's a race,
real.
it's a rat, it's a thing. Don't stop to think about whether you're doing the right thing or not. Don't try to like focus on leverage things. Don't don't worry about passive income, all the stuff that you pick up on later. No. Don't worry about networking and like who you know. No. It's just keep at it. No matter what it is,
grind,
head down.
grind. Stop looking up, grind.
Head down. I think it is interesting to think about. But inflating the appreciating asset that is a car, like it'll probably more likely go back to the norm of depreciation with a car for sure. However, it is interesting because there will be people, kids, a certain generation for this period. I'm going to say like for the next 5, 10 more years, who grow up with that being their norm. That is the thing. That is what cars do.
I'm not sure. So what I think very quickly, we've talked about it. We might not have talked about it in the podcast, but you've talked to me about it in the past. Is what's really interesting is the how cars are getting on the phone cycle, where like Apple is going to sell more iPhone 14s than they've sold ever any other thing, and what they'll do is they'll have a slightly better camera, and it will be, the battery will be a little bigger, and the deltas are smaller, but they're frequent. So like you know like my Ford is the 2016 model when it changed to this. I think it changed in 2015 or 2016, and it was on that like 2022. And of course there were changes we just didn't know about, and they changed some seals, I'm sure, that weren't working properly, and like maybe one of the suspension things was like they changed the struts and things like that you just never know about. Just different years that kind of made it better and better and better.
Things, incremental.
And you always want to buy, with a truck or a car like that, you want to buy the last model of that era because it's perfect before they make an advancement but mess it up again. Except what happens with a Tesla, which you're seeing increasingly, is like, does it have the 2670 batteries? What, the batteries, what are the different, and the new ones that are being made in Texas are the better ones, and the
ones that Bonnie made.
Well, no, Bonnie doesn't make the new better ones, does he? He makes the older ones.
No, he makes the new ones.
I thought I asked him, does he make the new ones? I think he doesn't do it in his factory.
We don't know the numbers. No, he doesn't. They don't make the car in the factory, but the 46, whatever they are.
The 46 whatevers.
What
Bonnie does?
4616, 42. Give them a name that you can remember. Anyway, that battery type.
Yeah.
The larger cell that has less basically overhead.
Yeah.
The cars that are coming out of Austin are the ones that have the new one. The ones that are coming out of Berlin. But even those plants, because they're not battery plants, right? They're the car plants. So it's the actual battery plants that are making them, and they're shipping them all over the world.
Okay.
So,
but even things like that, the fact that like I would, if I was buying a Tesla, I would want to buy it with the new cell packs,
the platform.
And then it's like, which screen does it have? Is it the portrait or the landscape? And does it have the? So like I don't know. I think cars will become even more. I think they'll depreciate quicker. No.
Yeah, good question. I don't know. So I think a couple of things at play. One is I think the phones went onto the car model, not the other way around. I think the cars, the teams who worked out planned obsolescence, like it will stop working within 5 years to make sure you buy a new car. We will definitely have an off year where you'll have one model, then you'll have the next full platform up rev.
Yeah.
Like that cadence of consumerist kind of model making is the car, or the original auto model. I think phones have jumped onto that in this kind of hill climb. But when the iPhone first came out, it wasn't. It was a genuine disruptive inflection. And I think that's what we're seeing with electric. Electric versus combustion is on this inflection where you'll see appreciation. You'll see you're scared of getting this model, exactly to your point, because just around the corner there's another one. It's the same with phones, PCs, anything that was hyper accelerant technology. You're always afraid of getting it because around the corner is a new one. And that's what you're seeing with cars, right? Which is a really good signal for like demand and progress. And
demand and progress. But does it not mean it goes against? I mean, laptops don't appreciate
appreciation,
and phones don't appreciate.
It does, except that at the same time you've got this software upgradability story.
Yeah,
which I think is really interesting.
That's for sure. Toe in first. Yeah, you can't go wrong with your first one. Doesn't matter which one it is. Can't really go wrong. Except if you buy the Gen 1 Ford F-150. I can't wait to see what major problem happens with that one.
I can't wait
right?
to see.
I mean, it's going to be huge. It's their first generation. It's going to be, something's going to happen. Like it'll fail. There'll be some flaw that, if you get in a certain type of accident, you die, or it blows up.
It'll be on flames.
One of the batteries will explode.
Everything will be on fire. Everything will be on fire. It's like the Rivians. The Rivians, have you seen some of the reviews? Some of the 1,000-mile reviews? They've definitely started falling apart.
Really? The panels are just coming off, and they're just
it's literally the first 1,000 cars, right?
I did watch,
I've started seeing the S's. Have you started seeing the R1S's around?
No.
So the actual SUVs? Down here, there's someone. There's a cluster of people.
You're in the area for it, right?
It's amazing. The T's are everywhere. There's literally a street with about 4 R1Ts, the flatbed trucks, like in a row or something. There's just a cluster of ex-Teslas who are all in Rivian now around the corner, right? Because the Rivian folks are all ex-Tesla S3 folks. Now, what happened? The Model S team went to do Rivian, and the Model 3 team went to do Lucid, or the other way around.
Lucid looks amazing, by the way, if you can afford to spend billions of dollars on an electric car.
No, who went where? I think the 3s went, maybe the other way around. Maybe the 3s went to Rivian. Anyway, they all basically on bulk just went off to the other companies. But now I've started seeing the SUVs, and they look lush. Like they're big and gorgeous, and you can see it. You can see it.
Yeah, it looks great. It's brilliant.
As long as it's
another 8 years from now, the majority of people will have in California will have EVs.
Everyone.
You know?
Range, you just need to crack like 400, 500 and you'll be brilliant.
You were stressing over the range when we were away on the weekend.
Yeah,
Not stressing. You weren't stressing.
I was aware
but like
of
it was a thing you were thinking about, and we had it timed out at one stage and it wasn't charged, and you were outside faffing with it, and then you were making sure you had enough to get home. And I was like, I just don't think about it. I never think.
Of course.
Even if I'm down to 5%, I'm not worried about getting home ever.
Totally.
Yeah.
It is definitely a thing, especially when you're going somewhere new, up a hill. Like you do think about elevation a lot more.
I love that you were even saying that though.
Yeah.
It was uphill the whole way here, so on the way back it should be easier. Like, what are you talking about?
That's right. Because there's elevation, because it's harder to get the car up, so you use more electricity, but also on the way back you've got regen, and it's like it kind of makes up for it. But trusting the estimator, I'm getting much more trusting the estimator. And B, just like for new areas, just becoming aware of it. The main thing is on the other end, knowing that you've got a place to charge it on. Home, even if it's a regular home plug.
What happens if you run out on the side of the road?
You literally press a button on the screen and Tesla people come.
And how much does that cost?
I don't want to find out. I don't want to know. It's too much.
Is it more than $250 type thing?
Probably. No, I can't imagine it's more. I don't know. I honestly.
What do they do? They tow you, or do they
charge you on the spot?
With a juice pack?
I feel like some people charge you on the spot, but even that juice pack takes a while, right? So I think there's both options. Mostly get towed.
It must happen reasonably frequently, does it not?
I'll tell you where it happens the most. On the I-80 going up to Tahoe in winter, in a snowstorm on that
when
thing.
The battery's cold because the range drops. Is it
cold? Uphill traffic snarl, and you'll just see like Model 3s just parked
really?
Up the side of this
oh
thing.
No! Oh no!
Yeah, it's bad. Which makes you go, "Hey, if you're
what do you do then? Because it's not like you can nip to the garage and get $5 of gas. What do you do?
They all get towed, and it's a tow story.
Yeah, and the thing that we figured out when I asked you what was the puncture policy. If you get a flat tire on one, they don't have a spare tire.
No,
they don't have run flat tires like BMWs have, where you can just get to the garage. Yeah. You're literally flat tire. You're stuck on the side of the road.
Yeah,
you have to be able to get help. So they're like but they're not the right car for someone who wants to be independent. Like if you're out in the sticks, they're not the car for that.
All the more reason the Rivian's interesting, because it's pitched as the out in the sticks, but it's got less range than this car.
That's mad.
So, exactly.
How could you be out in the wilderness doing overlanding in Colorado, and you're like, I've got like 80 miles of range. Just
that's
so you know,
it, right?
You can basically go around the campground a few times.
So you see the ones where they're going out in Arizona and doing actual four-wheel driving.
Yeah.
I'm like, how did you get there, and where's the nearest supercharger?
Yeah.
Also, that's the other thing with the Rivians and the Fords. Whose network are you using? Because you're not using Teslas, which is a real godsend.
I get it. I believe that the Tesla supercharging network is the best network, but it's the only one that's not standardized. There's a standard EV charging network, right? Like as in a like using outlets in a house. There's a standard EV charging plug type, and all of those are grouping together, right? Ford and all those folks are all the same. So it's actually a bigger network than the Tesla one. I agree the Tesla one's better, but it's actually technically a bigger network. There's loads of places to charge, no?
No. So there are private companies like ChargePoint that are doing charge points. There are definitely standardized connectors. There's 2 or 3, and the Tesla one just has like a plug so we can use ChargePoint in Tesla.
Yeah, you plug a little adapter.
But it's not as though you've got a network where when you're driving around
you can reserve
the freeways,
a spot or whatever.
You plug in and there's 30 of them and you're banked. It's like,
can you book a spot with Tesla? Do you know when you get there there'll be a spot?
You can see it clearly what's empty and what's not before you're driving and all that sort of stuff, and it preconditions. It's very, very seamless part of the navigation experience. But it's the charge point and those private networks are all in hotel parking lots, and there's 2 or 3s, or it's in the local, at your work, 2 or 3
grocery store or whatever. Yeah,
it's not on the freeways to actually do those trips, right? They're going to build them. That's going to happen. But right now,
what's charging etiquette? Can you take one out of another person's car? Can you tell if someone's car is fully charged?
You can. You just look in the screen. They also
on there, and like, can you see from the handle if you walk up to someone else's car? Can you tell if you're being a jerk by stealing their charger? Because what if it's charged and it's still plugged in?
You look at their screen. So all the screens stay lit and shows you the charging on their thing.
In their window, you can see how charged it is.
Yeah. You look in their screen, and the etiquette is, well, look, you get fined. You get more money. You get more dollars extra kind of fees if you leave your car longer after it's charged. That's all automatically done.
Okay.
and B, most of the time there's nothing around the chargers. So it's not like people plug it in and go, see ya, and then
you're not hanging out at the gas station and getting burgers and stuff.
There's not much. There is sometimes there is a bit, but you kind of go for a walk, get that thing, and you come back. So people are trying to still get somewhere. Yeah, people are trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
So they're not too incentivized to loiter. But it's definitely a thing. It's definitely an issue. And
do people steal charge though? They do. They come up, do the jerk thing, plug them in.
You can't because there's slots, right? So you have to move the cart in order for that to work.
I would manage. Does it reach if you if you T-bone them in, like if you kind of pull it right behind, can you squeeze?
If you can pull it right behind, then you might as well use the empty slot that you just squeezed in, because that will have a charge port with it. You don't need to. You should definitely not get a Tesla.
With my, it would be a Cybertruck. I just roll over that car. I just park on that car and use the charger. Use two chargers. Can you dual charge them? I would take two out.
Yeah.
Is
One
there
on
any
each side? just give me the charge.
Yeah.
Segue to Apple.
Yeah.
That was the big WWDC this week, but specifically cars. Do you reckon what we saw in Apple CarPlay is essentially the Apple Car? Like there is no Apple actual car.
They did that on purpose.
It's just the Apple
give context. So what's WWDC?
Tell me what it stands for. It's the Worldwide Developer Conference that Mark has actually spoken on. Obviously, you should have. You were part of. You would.
But I'm open to an opportunity to talk about charging etiquette.
Your products were featured as they do as part of iPad. Was it an iPad launch? No, it was a MacBook.
A couple of iPad launches when they've announced new iPads. Yeah,
there you go. And one of the amazing things that they previewed was just like Google I/O did with Android Auto, in fairness, which is not just CarPlay in what we know it to be, which is when you walk in either via Bluetooth or a plug, it reflects your phone, but in a way that makes it really native to the cars in the little screen. But a complete takeover of the car OS, including the speedo and the radio and the screen that's behind.
You can adjust the air conditioning from it. You can, all the stuff we talked about.
It's it's what Mercedes have already done in their beautiful EQ7 thing. It's essentially what Tesla have in their OS. It's what everyone wants to do. Not like everyone needs to own the full OS. And
so what was
Apple
the stat I sent you? 79% of Americans would not buy a car if it didn't have Apple CarPlay in it.
With 0 asterisks on who was asked what.
No, I know.
We
don't know how many. We don't know what the end value was, etc. But
the stat came from the Apple launch.
I frequently see people on Twitter saying, I still can't believe Tesla doesn't have Apple CarPlay. Or did they announce that they might recently or something? Like, I'm not the only person in the world who thinks it's mad that they don't.
Of course not. It's the first thing you think of. When you walk into a brand new car and you think it's a tech-forward car, you think, hang on, I need the tech thing that I was using in my other cars.
Yeah.
There are clear strategic reasons not to do it, but if they do
I get the strategic reasons not to. I just think it's nuts. I think the convenience outweighs it. Yeah.
It's anti-user. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. I mean, if you were Musk right now, letting Cook or Pinchai into your OS is
I get it. I get it. I think,
especially at the rate they're going, like they're going hard, right? So
I can't wait till they bring a car out. It's going to be amazing.
Well, I mean, my current thought is Google have already brought their car out. It's the Polestar 2 and Polestar 3, and the Polestar 3 that they've just essentially the most deeply integrated Android Auto to the same level of integration that you just saw on this theoretical car display with Apple. And what they're about to announce is the cars coming up. There's going to be one or more models of next cars that have the level of integration that Apple does. So the same sort of screens to Apple's UI requirements. So I feel like the Apple car that we always thought was going to happen is not actually Apple's own car, but it's the OS in someone else's car, just like Google, the kind of Google model for it, which is great.
They don't have to bring out a car. I mean, if you can take over the car market with your OS without producing a car, wouldn't that be fantastic? Like,
it's all you
without
need.
the overhead of actually manufacturing a car.
It's everything. You get all the benefits. You get the ad space. You get the lock-in OS. You get the app ecosystem. You get.
But I still think they'll bring one out. I do. Yeah.
What I did think, the instant thought I had was, like, Apple are notorious for, and well known, and for good reason, for having incredibly strict design ecosystem guidelines and frameworks for anyone who wants to build into their thing. If you want to build on an iPhone, here's the SDK. Here's what you can and can't do. It's militant and it's for a reason. It's good for the user because it's back consistent experience. Imagine the design guidelines for the car manufacturers that Apple have instilled to go, this is what we believe cars need to do with no previous experience in cars or driving them or something. But here's exactly what you need to make. Here's how big your screens need to be, and here's the space.
Yeah.
Like, you
I bet
just
it's a
imagine
nightmare.
how militant it is to go, it's this or nothing, this or the highway, good luck. You want to be an Apple car or not? So
Love it.
you can
That
imagine.
would be, that would be cool.
In fairness, they also copped a fair bit of flack because part of the lashback has been the amount of distraction. Because it's basically not just
It is
the middle
hard.
screen.
Even when they were announcing it, I was struggling to read it all in the time that they gave. That it was on screen, and then I was like, "What is that thing?" And then, "Where's the speedometer?" Oh, but I can see 6 hertz. What's hertz? All this stuff. And then
it's like a full
A
wraparound
dashboard.
screen and the whole thing. And admittedly, everything was dark, etc. So it was just highlighting the screens. But part of the rationale of Tesla's model is complete distraction free and just that centerpiece. It has its own drawbacks because you have to divert your attention to do things, but you're not looking at anything anywhere else. And there is something interesting about that. So
the best thing they announced at that WWDC this year, though, for me was now. Well, call it. What do you think?
What did they announce? That was the Air M2. It's your chips.
No,
your
I don't
chips.
care about it.
What?
No, they're the boring models. They've done they've announced the new M2, so we should go through it. The M2, the second generation of the M1, the Apple Silicon, they brought the M2 out, and same as it with the M1, they did it in the Air first. They brought a new Air, which isn't an Air anymore. It's not skinny anymore, and they put it in the really confusing 13-inch MacBook Pro, which has still got the touch bar on it.
So confusing.
I don't know who that's for, but anyway, the next, but the ones they launched this fall, the M2 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pros are the ones to look out for because they'll have the Ultra Trips in them.
So what was your favorite? Whoa.
Forget about hardware. It's software. What's the best bit of software they announced?
It's definitely not the WebKit support. Oh, it is WebKit support on Safari.
No, I mean, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Okay. No, not that one. I mean, I'm not going to go with the obvious iOS 16 upgrades with a lock screen. It is.
Not the lock screen. You're on the right track though.
Well, the thing I love the most, obviously, is the object extraction out of photos.
I know you love that one.
That's all I want.
So they have a new feature where if you've got like a dog in a picture, you take a photo of a dog and you want to be able to grab just the dog, you can put your finger on the dog and it will pull just the dog out of the photo, and you can send that picture of just the dog. And Rami was like, amazing. Amazing.
It's not amazing. It's basically from 15 years ago, from every magic wand in Photoshop, where I used to have to go to Photoshop and then to slides, and I'm like, someone just put it in PowerPoint, someone just put it in slides, and then Apple have gone, we'll just do it in the photo editor and kill. Basically, this was the great. It was. What were the memes? Were essentially everything that was launched,
every photo app
was another startup that was getting killed.
Oh, absolutely. What was the other? The other one was go on.
The meme that I saw was the Facebook you report in when there's a disaster that happens, natural disaster.
Yeah.
And the meme was just checking in from WWDC that I'm safe from being murdered by my startup being murdered by Apple. just
because they did another one. A lot of there's loads of startups. If you look in the App Store, there's loads for using your iPhone as a camera to connect to your. So this isn't my favorite feature either. But what do they call it? Camera native or something? Or
continuity, camera continuity,
camera continuity, where you can use your iPhone. You can put it up at an angle, and you put it up in front of your screen, and it will, through the magic of the internet, through wirelessly connect with your meetings, so that you can do FaceTime using your better lenses that you have on your camera. What's really cool though was they used the fisheye lens so you can capture your desk as well.
Yeah.
The thing I thought so just for context, there's 3 cameras on your iPhone, and when you're looking through them, they look flat like this, but really one of them's almost 300. It's like 270 degrees of view on one of them, field of view on it. The ultra wide fisheye lens. So what they've done is they're able to show your face on a call, but you can also use another camera to show your desk in front of you. My immediate thought was, oh my God, there's going to be so many calls where people are not wearing any pants or something like that. I immediately panicked, and I don't even use this feature and never will. I immediately panicked for all the people who are inadvertently flashing people by accident on these calls.
Right? I love that. So a couple of things about it. One, I spent the first year of the pandemic just using my phone for meetings.
Yeah, I remember.
The whole time iPod. It was brilliant. Like it makes some. It was way better than any of the other cameras that I had. It was just great. The only thing was I was using the selfie cam, which is not as good as the reverse cam, and all I wanted was a way to. And hey presto, they've done that, and they've done it through the. So that's all they've done. Kind of it's just made that slightly better. I'm still stuck, and my phone is now gone, and I can't use my phone to text.
You still can't see it and stuff,
which doesn't.
But it's good. Belkin have brought out little attachments and stuff. It'll be much easier to just click it in and out and stuff.
That was my favorite bit though. The attachment they showed as part of the launch looked like the tackiest
piece of hardware
bought on Amazon $3 thing I've ever seen. I'm like,
somebody 3D printed this for us.
Such a rush job. I'm like 2.5 years into the pandemic, and you've brought out what exactly like a 3D printed like $2 gadget.
Yeah,
and
but more startups gone. I was like, all those little startups that are trying to get your camera on your phone to work better with Zoom and stuff, they're all gone.
We should do like a sound effect every time we do a startup kind of ecosystem. Gone.
Or like
the one. That's it. Gone. I think the one that I enjoyed them going is the collaboration software that everyone absolutely pissed themselves. Did you see that?
The one where the voice to dictation, where you can jump in and out where you're typing and then talking. And,
no, the collaborative whiteboarding. So FigJam. I don't know if you use FigJam or Looms or any of those like collaborative.
We use Neural, but yeah,
any of those ones. So those collaborative, or like Whimsical has a collaborative, an opening one. Yeah. So especially for just collab whiteboarding. So as part of FaceTime, they've created, or looks like a net new app, which is essentially a FaceTime extension that allows you to do.
I didn't see that. I watched the whole thing and I missed that. Yeah.
Everyone's blowing up because there are a number of like startups that got created in the last 2 years that are focusing on remote work. Yeah. And this is clearly an Apple have gone, we're just going to sit on it for 2 years.
Let's do that.
It's a lot.
They're always there last and do it best. To be fair, because they own the ecosystem, they're just like they can just do it better.
You can do whatever you
want. But we still haven't talked about my favorite feature. Wait.
This is great. This is fun. It
is iOS 16 though. Yeah.
Favorite feature in iOS 16 is not the lock screen where they put the people first, which is a hat tip to their AR. Right, we'll talk about that in a second. Is it the password manager, the web pass manager, where
I'm locked in on one password. No, we're good. I'm okay staying.
No, you're done. You're done, mate. You're done.
I'm in. I'm okay.
This is going to take over. So what they've done with passkeys is essentially stolen the Web3 concept of wallets, and they've gone, we can do that too, and we're just going to do it on the iPhone.
Google's doing that too. That's the thing we talked about a couple of weeks ago. That's the whatever they call it. It's
not 2FA.
Pardon?
It's not 2FA. It's
it was another standard. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's proprietary is what I'm saying.
I think theirs is. It's basically a hardware wallet. It's saying that it's your phone identity and you'll use that to unlock stuff. So I think that's the model.
Okay. I don't know enough about it. I did see the thing. I saw Stripe was on there. I saw that they did a bit of contactless device-to-device payment.
So quietly. So one of the things that there are definitely some good fintech bombs that came through. 3 of them. One that we're involved with, and we're the primary partner. So you can now use your phone as the card reader when you want to pay, either with your phone, another phone, or your card, just your contactless card. Instead of Square,
you would have had to have had a piece of hardware before from Square or someone where you'd plug it in through your Lightning connector and swipe a card, or have a contactless. You'd plug it in and have a contactless thing.
Just the long game here. 10 years ago, Square has gone, we're just going to create this little $12 widget, and we're going to slove it in your, at the time, 3.5mm jack, right?
Yeah.
So you can swipe
or
tap.
you used to go in through your headphones. Okay, yeah.
You used to go through your headphones way back when, at the top of the phone, right? Or the iPad. That was Square, but that was genius, right? And you swipe it or you tap. And they've gone, we're going to wait till we first get NFC, then we're going to add the carry the one. Now, let's go. And then now
just like phone to phone.
And now, phone to phone or card to phone or whatever. So they just cut out. But it's not even about the hardware. It's the rest of the ecosystem, because they now have got their own card. They're like hop, skip, and a jump from getting into payments.
And I see they're doing more financing. They're doing
BNPL.
Yes.
The NPL.
Sorry, you're going to do your 3 things. That was one. What's the other one?
The 3 fintechs. So that was one. The second, the big bombshell was BNPL, which is another startup graveyard. But this isn't just startups. This is 20, 30, $40 billion startups like Affirm, Afterpay, Klarna.
What's BNPL?
BNPL is the big fad in fintech of the last year and a half, called Buy Now, Pay Later. It's effectively a loan, but not straight up a loan. It's a way to do old-fashioned lay-bys, but you literally get the product now and you do installments of 4 or 3 or 6 fixed installments.
It's been
over
forever,
time.
right? I mean, I remember that 15 years ago when we were, someone was buying a TV from
It's
Best
called
Buy,
lay-by. Yeah. You're going to a store and you lay-by it. Sometimes
But you
used
take
to-
it home that day. You take the TV home that day, and you're on the hook to pay
Correct.
12 payments. Yeah.
Correct. Interest-free,
Yeah.
white goods, interest-free, big box retail's
Yeah.
been happening forever. The difference here is they did it via e-commerce and they did it as a fintech solution, which is once they know your record, once they know the contents
Yeah.
of the product, once they know the merchant,
Super
then
safe
effectively
lending.
the
Yeah.
risk, it's much safer lending.
Yeah.
The risk model is the ticket, and they somehow they kind of it's not about a loan, so it's not. I wish I knew the details, but it's not exactly classed as a financial instrument, as a financial loan. Long story short, a whole bunch of startups got bought by Block, some got bought by Amazon. We're partnering with some and so on. One massive Australian one, Afterpay, is one that got by Block, or formerly Square, 45 billion. Like substantial startups that got bought.
What was the sound we make?
As Apple comes along and goes, if we just add this button,
Yeah.
I swear it was a UI designer who just went, there's Apple Pay, and if we just went Apple Pay later and just turn one figure into 4
You can imagine
figures,
like the Figma mock-up.
That's it.
What about this button? They're like, okay,
Yeah.
let's do it. And
Let's
it's like, yeah,
just-
this year we'll earn more money from that than we did AirPods.
It's just amazing. So that entire now, look, obviously it's a single platform. It's not on the web, but like it kind of is because you can do Apple. So look, that's a whole thing.
Number 3.
And then the third one is much closer to us. So as part of Apple Pay, they're now started, which is what a lot of the BNPLs have been doing. They're trying to become essentially super apps for consumers. So what you do is once you buy something with a BNPL provider like Afterpay or Klarna or Affirm, you now have their app and you can see all of your orders. You can see where they're up to. You can refund and return them. You can engage. You can continue to shop and discover other merchants like it. So this becomes a consumer entry point. You kind of back end to a consumer surface. And Apple have now introduced a order tracking setup for Apple Pay. And they partner with a couple of platforms to get that
Why is that
content from your
important?
purchaser. Because that introduces a whole nother vector for shopping. So if you now own the consumer for post-purchase,
Yeah.
order tracking, now refunds, you now can do instant credit for returns, you now can do reshopping, product
Okay.
recommendations, you now...
So it's, okay.
If you own... So one of the big pieces of BNPL was, and one of the reasons people paid for it, one step back, card networks will pay money and discount the cost of exchange rate interchange if you give them product line information. It's called L2, L3 information. The more details you give, the less the card networks will charge you, because then they now have information to lend you at different rates and have the risk profile much more, because they know the details of the product. Data is king. So BNPL, one of the best things for that and why the model really works is that it requires you to have that data. And so it's, for the other side of the network, it's a really beneficial pull.
Okay.
And now Apple is the same. For you to get that consumer experience, they now need to get that data from the merchant, the product line details. What's
Sure.
the product? How much does it cost? You now have spending behavior at the line item granularity, not
Beautiful.
just the rough category, but the detail
And they've more data on the individual buyer as well, because they get to track it in post-purchase.
on everything. And now you have like a gateway to do shopping. So it's a huge ecosystem story that everyone's watching intently, and is very close to the sort of stuff I'm working with. Anyway, that's fintech. We're still not close to your favorite iOS 16 feature.
You're not anywhere close. No, none of those are my favorite features for the iPhone. What's the my new favorite feature?
Your new favorite feature for the iPhone is audio dictation. No,
snore.
it is. It's iMessage, isn't it? It's reading.
Yep.
It's unread. It's marking a message as unread, isn't it?
It's not marking message unread. It's editing a sent message.
That's right.
Or deleting a sent message.
There we go.
How many since I got my first Nokia, and I was complaining about someone to someone else and sent it to that person by accident, because it was like and I was like, oh god,
They're in your mind.
Ever since that, like in the 90s, I've been like, you have to be able to recall messages, delete messages, and edit messages. And how annoying is it to always do the little star? You know, they gave the perfect example. Hey Gabe, hey babe, can you meet me tomorrow? And then he edits it to hey Gabe. Like there's loads of times when you
the
text
ducks.
someone and it's just
Everyone
wrong.
loves ducks.
And
Everyone loves
yeah,
ducks.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For duck's sake. Where you can edit a text message, yay, delete a text message, yay, about time. I do like the mark as unread as well, but that's a firm third.
I should have known. It was an edit message.
It's basics.
Story.
It's basics, but it's just like
10
game changing. 20 years later, more.
It's so sad. I mean, I did have a moment this week with that where I kind of flashed forward to Apple being the Corporation X.
Yeah.
I did have a moment where they're so lock-in between the password wallet hardware, they're so systematic and staged in the way they approach tech stack build. I want to talk about AR in a second. You're in fintech, you're in the car, we're excited about it editing a message, not because it doesn't exist. It's existed at many other platforms because we're stuck messaging on their platform and we just want
on
that
their platform and it's like, come on.
And they can not give it to us because they know we have to use it anyway. I really did have this sense of they've locked it in. They're locking it in so much. I don't have the same sense of Corporation X from others. Maybe Google is just a brand, but there is such a lock-in effect in Apple right now that's making me a little nervous.
It's just the constant ecosystem. I don't know that they're specifically targeting enterprise and things. I just think it's all about just expand on every front, isn't it? Expand the ecosystem in any way.
It's all reinforcing. The cheeky stuff they're doing is getting a little evil. The ad stuff. They decimated entire direct-to-consumer ecosystem. Like the fact that they did the Apple, the ATT, the app tracking story, and made everyone confirm they want to be tracked, and every Facebook user, 30% of them
smashed everyone's earnings. This year was a disaster all year with earnings calls.
Killed Facebook. And the thing for me is that it killed Facebook, killed the earnings. It made ads way more expensive because they're basically less targeted and therefore less effective.
So it's probably worth explaining that. We're talking jargon. So what are you talking about? What did Apple do and how did it affect Facebook?
They are the evil one in this scenario. So,
from your perspective,
Apple gave everyone a heads up a little while ago as part of iOS 14. What they were going to do was basically ask users in their install when they turn an app on whether they are okay with that app sharing information with other apps or not.
So you might have noticed you got that little notification to say, just to let you know, this app has been tracking you in the background. Leave it on, turn it off. Just brings it to the front, and you know that message, that basic message, is how it showed up, right?
And it's not just tracking you in the background. It's share the information with other apps. Right. So it's do you allow me to share this information or not? So this was the most profound way that ads in particular were able to develop info. So other apps would feed information ultimately back to Facebook, less so Google, but ultimately Facebook, in order to develop a profile on you. So when you're on Instagram, when you're on Instagram, you got ads that were more likely to you. When this was getting announced, and Apple gave a lot of heads up. So in a couple of years ago, when this was getting announced, it was an absolute tear through, and it still is an absolute tear through, panic code reds through all the orgs. And I remember seeing UXR. Google's one thing, but I also saw UXR from Instagram where they would do tests of people and what they would do. And it was 30% drops of people who would just not do this targeting. And, they've now put UI screens on Instagram that tell you why you should hit yes on the next screen when it pops up. And it's like this. And no one does it because of trust and because they're worried about it. But ultimately what it does is it reduces the amount of signal that Facebook or any ad surface has in order to serve you more personalized ads. When the ads are less personalized, they are less effective. You click on them less. And when you click on them less, basically you have to get shown more ads in order to get the same sort of click-throughs. Long and behold, the ads in general are more expensive to put on, to buy ads. If you are trying to sell the new shorts on Instagram, they now cost you more. The vast, and what this created, on the ads ecosystem, we talk about ads being evil and we talk about ads kind of, littering and so on. But I really do believe that ads being targeted and being valuable is super good as a consumer. It's a really, really valuable thing, but it's even better for the ecosystem. So what it did, and it spawned heaps of ecosystems, not least of which were what was known as the direct-to-consumer ecosystem of e-commerce, where I want to create a brand new brand of board shorts. Chubbies is a good example. I don't have to create a shop. I don't have to create an online shop. I don't create a physical shop. I don't create an online shop. I don't even have to manufacture. I brand it, I design it, I create a logo, I manufacture it offshore, then I drop ship it. But the first thing I do is run ads on Instagram, really cool video ads that are targeted, and then see the uplift. And as long as I get an ROI on that, we're good to go.
Yeah.
But they run on such tight margins that the second those ads and
Yeah.
the cost of those ads went up, you no longer had viable businesses. And so you had entire ecosystems decimated because Apple, way back when in the food chain, decided to ask users to check if they want to be tracked across apps.
It's not that the ads went up though in cost. It was that willingness to pay from advertisers went down. So if you're, if you're if you're chubbies and you want to target your ads, and Facebook can only give you a 30% confidence that your ad will display to someone who even would buy chubbies, you're much less likely to pay for it, right? Isn't that it was the reason that their earnings went down was because advertisers spent less money because targeted advertising was harder. So yeah.
Sorry, I'm not talking about Facebook. I'm talking about the advertisers who are using Facebook to create an ecosystem. So the actual D2C companies could no longer had viable businesses because their main acquisition channel were ads, and ads are so expensive that selling the board shorts were now not worth it, and they had no margin left. Facebook themselves, as a result, those people no longer existed on that ecosystem, so they just evaporated. Shopify, which is a kind of core stream of ecosystem for ads and small entrepreneurs trying to sell things on there, is decimated. It's 1/5 of its stock price based on that. And all of the run-on effects were people were buying less ads with Facebook because it just wasn't viable for them. The willingness to pay, as you say, but the kind of like boohoo Facebook is one thing, but the real pain was felt by everyone who was using Facebook to create a business, to run a business, right?
Yes.
And I think that bit of it is like that's all in Apple. That's all in Apple. And the cheeky bit is this.
It's interesting. Your perspective is you've got a very inside tech perspective on that. I don't know if I'm certain I don't agree with you on that.
The ads are less targeted. They're worse for the consumer. We can boohoo Facebook all we like, but you've decimated an entire possible ecosystem of people who are selling stuff cheaper for the user and net new, so you have less products in the market. But the cheeky bit is this. Apple talks about privacy, and they did it in the guise of privacy, and they ran ads about privacy because we're a locked ecosystem, and it was in the days of trust where it was antitrust with everyone to do with. So this was their play, this was the model, and they did it as a privacy story. What do they do as the very next thing? Ads. So the next big thing they're launching, the huge setup they've got, is targeted ads, and they're asking you for granting that it's specifically on app and Apple surfaces. And we've been seeing it for quite a while. That was clearly an area they've been trying to get into. They haven't been that successful. In order to make it work, they had to cut
That's amazing.
the rest of the app ecosystem down to the knees.
That's amazing.
And now they're running like entire ad products. They've got ad products on the App Store. They've got ad products sitting in Mac. They've got ad products on many of the... And that cheek is genuinely making me go, I don't care about Facebook, but I do care about everyone else who is trying to make new businesses work. And you can't turn around and tell me you've just found another revenue stream and you did all of that just to that's a zero-sum game, right?
I trust Apple more than I trust Facebook or Google, though, with my data.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I'm not sure I trust them more than Google, but I trust them. Yeah, you do. That story is probably not based on anything other than brand. Maybe Facebook. But
Facebook is a disaster. But Apple's brand is better than Google's brand for data. Google is pretty bad. Google's made some fumbles like Facebook too. In
like 2012.
Yeah, I mean it's just 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Apple kind of doesn't have to have data sharing because they weren't an ads ecosystem first. The beauty of it is they're going to become an ads. They're becoming an ads ecosystem.
Yeah, I hear it.
And you're about to
It'd be
start
interesting to see how that evolves. It's a risk for them, isn't it? As soon as
huge risk.
I like, they're heavy on neural nets. All their ML chips are all on device, and they don't share learnings with So sure. I do. I mean, it is expensive to be the high trust, high privacy, OS.
I'm not sure it cost them money to be high trust. I think they're hardware and services, and they're not ads. And so as long as you're not ads, data is not your play. You were never a data business model.
Oh, come on.
What's their data business model?
They do their ML everything.
ML is fine, but their business isn't selling data or manipulating data or using data.
They've not been advertising specifically.
Yeah, they're hardware and services, right? They're selling earpods. That doesn't need data. They're selling phones. It doesn't need data. So they could easily leap on the map of like where your strengths and weaknesses are.
If they win this thing, if they win advertising there, that'll be amazing. I mean, that's so impressive, isn't it? I mean, Tim Cook, he's an impressive guy.
I mean, I don't know if it's Tim. I think it's a very patient story. Yeah, it will be amazing. It will be amazing if they win advertising.
They just do it so well.
Yeah. Here's a fun fact. How much of Apple's market cap do you think is attributed to Google? How much would you attribute Apple's market cap to Google?
Oh, how much does Google pay Apple? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
for
that's part of
use of their services.
That's part of it. But based on that, what do you think the market cap equivalent is?
So there's two. So here's the two ways. I don't know. So this is a great question because I have no idea.
Yeah.
Two ways that I think Apple could get money from Google is one through like licensing and services and things like that. Whatever for using maps on their devices and all that sort of stuff. That's one. Two, has Apple invested in Google? Does Apple own Google? A significant percentage of Alphabet? Do they? I have no idea.
I'm sure someone's paid someone. No, it's much more direct.
So I have no idea. Tell me how much.
I was about to tell you. So in order for Google search to default when you use Safari, particularly on your phone, just for that alone, Google pays Apple upwards of $19 billion a year.
Wow.
It used to be 12. It used to be like 9, 12. And the last figure is like 19. So at $19 billion a year of just pure zero margin, like profit, right? So it's not revenue, it's profit.
Well, it must be worth it to Google. They wouldn't do it if it wasn't profitable.
Clearly, but how much does that translate if you think of it of an NPV value of profit of $19 billion a year?
Yeah.
So if you look at the market cap, the calcs were done. So it's somewhere between like 15 and 19% of Apple's worth is essentially what Google pays to be a search engine.
Smokes. Is that right? That's not right.
So if you look at
$19 billion is not significant to Apple.
90 billion profit. What's their yearly profit?
Apple. Apple gross profit for the 12 months ending 31st of March 2022 was $167 billion.
So 19 billion of that
increase.
10%, yeah.
Yeah.
20%, yeah.
And why are we saying it's profit? Because it doesn't cost anything. It's just pure.
Nothing. It's a default.
That's crazy.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
so,
that's amazing. Yeah,
like
good job, Apple.
It's like on the one hand, yeah. So like one of the biggest threats has always been A, will they turn you off? B, will they create their own search engine? And that's been the kind of rumor. They're waiting for the search engine. And every time you think, will they do that? In order to create your own search engine, you're about to throw away 15% of your market cap or $19 billion of pure revenue, pure profit a year. Probably not yet.